Imagine playing a game of Tetris, but the blocks are 30-ton fighter jets loaded with high explosives. The board is moving because you are in the middle of a Pacific storm, and if you bump two blocks together, it costs the American taxpayer $5 million and ends your career. Oh, and you haven't slept in 20 hours. This is not a video game. This is a Tuesday night in the hangar bay of a United States Navy aircraft carrier. When the world looks at a carrier, they see the flight deck. They see the roar of the afterburners, the steam of the catapults, the glory of Top Gun, but the flight deck is just the stage. The real work, the dirty, greasy, exhausting work that keeps the American military machine running, happens two decks below in a windowless steel cavern that smells of hydraulic fluid and sweat. This is the hangar. It is the most expensive garage on planet Earth. And inside, a group of 20-year-old sailors known as Hangar Rats are performing a logistical miracle every single day. Today, we are going to strip away the glamour. We are going to take you down the steep ladders, past the knee knockers, and into the belly of the beast. We will show you how they park 60 aircraft in a space designed for 40. We will explain why a simple fire could turn this room into a bomb that destroys the ship. And we will introduce you to the unsung heroes who fix the engines, load the missiles, and scrub the floors while the rest of the world sleeps. If you have ever wondered how a floating city fights a war without running out of spare parts, you are about to find out. Let's start with the geography of the battlefield. The hangar bay is massive, but it is never big enough. On a Nimitz-class carrier, it is 685 feet long, 110 feet wide, and 25 feet high. To visualize this, imagine tearing the roof off a major sports arena and stuffing it inside a warship. It spans 2/3 of the ship's length, but unlike a sports arena, this space is trying to kill you. The floor is made of steel non-skid that shreds skin like a cheese grater. The walls are lined with fuel stations, high-voltage power lines, and racks of bombs. And the entire room is constantly pitching and rolling with the motion of the ocean. In this cavern, the Navy stores the most valuable assets of the air wing. We are talking about F-18 Super Hornets worth $70 million each, E-2D Hawkeyes, the flying radar dishes worth $170 million, and the MH-60 Seahawk helicopters packed with sensitive electronics. At any given moment, there might be $3 billion worth of hardware sitting in this room, and it is the job of the Hangar Rats to make sure they don't touch. This brings us to the crunch. This is the word that haunts every sailor in the air department. A crunch is when two aircraft collide while being moved. It sounds minor, a fender bender. But on a stealth fighter or a precision-engineered jet, a dent is a catastrophe. If a handler pushes an F-18 into a support beam and cracks the radome, the nose cone, that jet is grounded. The radar has to be recalibrated. The composite material has to be repaired by specialists in hazmat suits. The cost, easily 6 figures. The punishment, you lose your rank, you lose your pay, you might get kicked out of the Navy. So how do they move these monsters? They don't use computers. They use hand signals and brute force. A team of blue shirts, the aircraft handlers, hooks a towing tractor called a spotting dolly to the nose gear of the jet. The director, a yellow shirt, walks backward, guiding the driver. There are no radios. It is too loud. They use glow sticks at night and whistles during the day. 1 whistle means stop. 2 whistles means go. A long blast means danger. The margin of error is measured in inches. Sometimes, to fit a plane into a tight spot, they have to overlap the wings. They have to tilt the jets. It is a geometry puzzle played with live ammunition. But the hangar bay isn't just a parking lot. It is a fortress designed to survive the apocalypse. The threat of fire is constant. You have thousands of gallons of JP-5 jet fuel in the planes. You have liquid oxygen carts. You have hydraulic fluid, which is flammable under pressure. If a spark ignites a fuel leak, the hangar bay becomes a blast furnace. That is why the bay is divided into three separate zones by massive, heavy-duty steel doors known as conflagration doors. These doors weigh tons. They are moved by electric motors that scream when they operate. In an emergency, they slam shut, chopping the hangar into airtight sections. If Bay 1 is burning, Bay 2 and Bay 3 can survive. The fire suppression system is terrifyingly efficient. It doesn't just sprinkle water. It floods the bay with aqueous film-forming foam. In seconds, the hangar can be filled with 5 feet of chemical foam that smothers the fire and anything else breathing in the room. Now let's meet the people who live here. They are called Hangar Rats because they rarely see the sun. While the flight deck crew gets the fresh air and the view, the hangar crew lives in the artificial light. Their skin is pale. Their uniforms are permanently stained with grease. They are the mechanics, the electricians, the airframers. They work in the AMD, the Aircraft Intermediate Maintenance Division. These are the shops located at the back of the hangar. This is where the magic happens. When a jet lands on the roof with a broken engine, it is brought down to the hangar on one of the 4 massive elevators. The mechanics swarm it. They have to pull the engine out. Imagine removing a car engine. Now imagine that engine weighs 3,000 pounds, costs $4 million, and you have to do it while the floor is tilting 10 degrees to the left. They use overhead cranes that run on tracks built into the ceiling. But if the ship rolls too hard, the crane locks. They have to wait for the ship to level out before they can move the engine. It is a test of patience and nerves. And they fix everything. There is a shop for hydraulics where they bend steel tubes to micrometer precision. There is a shop for paraloft where they pack the parachutes and fix the pilot's survival gear. There is a tire shop that smells of burning rubber where they replace the tires that get shredded by the carrier landings. They even have a calibration lab that is cleaner than a hospital operating room where they fix the delicate night vision goggles and laser targeting pods. These sailors are the unsung geniuses of the fleet. They are 18-year-old kids fixing technology that most PhDs don't understand. The rhythm of the hangar is relentless. It is driven by the flight schedule. The ship operates on cycles: launch, recover, launch, recover. When the jets launch from the roof, the hangar is quiet. The mechanics catch a quick nap on a pile of life rafts or eat a cold sandwich from the vending machine. But as soon as the jets land, the chaos begins. Download, download. The elevators scream as they lower broken jets into the hangar. The handler, the officer in charge of the deck, starts screaming orders over the loudspeaker. Move 201 to the tunnel, spot 304 to the elevator. It is a scramble. The blue shirts run to their tractors. The yellow shirts start blowing their whistles. It is organized panic. And then there is the cleaning. Scrub the deck. You might think a warship is dirty. You would be wrong. A dirty deck is a dangerous deck. Grease makes the floor slippery. A slippery floor means a tractor slides into a jet, so every night operations stop for screwbacks. The entire crew lines up with brushes and soap. They scrub the steel by hand. It is back-breaking work, but it builds discipline, and it prevents the crunch. But the most dangerous job in the hangar isn't moving planes. It is testing them. At the very back of the ship, behind the hangar, is the fantail. This is an open-air deck that looks out over the wake of the ship. This is where they test the jet engines. They chain the F-18 to the deck with massive steel holdbacks. They turn the tail of the jet toward the ocean, and they throttle it up to full afterburner. The noise is deafening. It shakes the fillings in your teeth. A 30-foot flame shoots out the back of the jet, turning the night air into a shimmering heat haze. The mechanics have to walk up to this screaming engine, check for leaks, and read the gauges. If the chain snaps, the jet launches off the back of the ship into the dark water. If they get too close to the intake, they are sucked in. It is a visceral, terrifying display of power. Life below deck is not just about work. It is about survival. The sailors live in berthing compartments stacked 3 bunks high. They share bathrooms with 60 other people. Privacy is a myth. You sleep when you can, eat when you can, and shower when the water is hot, which is rare. The hangar bay becomes their living room. During downtime, you will see sailors sitting under the wings of a $60 million jet playing cards or reading a book. They set up a basketball hoop on the elevator door. For a few minutes, they are just kids playing ball. Then the whistle blows and they go back to war. The psychological toll is real. The isolation, the noise, the constant threat of danger. Hangar rats develop a dark sense of humor. They joke about the bad food. They joke about the lack of sleep. They bond over the shared misery. This camaraderie is the glue that holds the ship together. You trust your shipmate because you have to. If a fire starts, he is the one holding the hose. If a jet rolls loose, she is the one throwing the chalk under the wheel. And let's talk about the future. The hangar bay is changing. The Navy is introducing drones. The MQ-25 Stingray is an unmanned tanker. It has no pilot. It has to be moved by remote control. The handlers are learning to drive robots. The Ford-class carriers have new elevators that use magnets instead of cables, moving ordnance faster than ever before. But the core of the job remains the same. It is still humans, sweat, and steel. Why does this matter? Why should you care about a garage in the middle of the ocean? Because the hangar bay is the endurance of the American military. Any country can build a few jets. Any country can launch a strike. But to sustain a war, to fly hundreds of sorties a day for months on end, that requires a hangar bay. That requires the ability to fix what you break. That requires the logistics to feed the machine. The hangar bay is the reason the U.S. Navy can park a carrier off the coast of a crisis zone and say, "We aren't going anywhere." It is the reason why when the president asks, "Where are the carriers?" the world listens. Because a carrier isn't just a threat. It is a promise that we can stay in the fight as long as it takes. So the next time you see a fighter jet streak across the sky, don't just think about the pilot. Think about the kid with grease under his fingernails who spent all night fixing the hydraulic pump. Think about the handler who walked backward in the rain to park it safely. Think about the hangar rats. They are the ones who keep the wings level. They are the ones who keep the fires out. And they are the ones who make sure that when the call comes, the answer is always ready. This is the reality of the floating garage. It is a place of high stakes, low sleep, and incredible precision. It is a place where a mistake costs millions, but perfection is expected every single second. If this deep dive into the hidden world of the aircraft carrier opened your eyes, you need to do 3 things right now. First, smash that like button. It helps us tell these stories that the algorithm ignores. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications. We are working on a massive documentary about the secret nuclear bunkers of the Cold War that you do not want to miss. And finally, I have a question for you. We talked about the heat, the noise, and the 14-hour shifts. For a tax-free bonus and the chance to travel the world, could you handle a deployment as a hangar rat, or would you crack under the pressure? Tell me in the comments below. I could do it or no way. I read every single comment. If you think the hangar bay is intense, wait until you see what happens inside the engine room when a steam pipe bursts. Click the video on your screen right now to see the story of the snipes, the engineers who live below the waterline. It is a nightmare you haven't heard about yet. Click it and I'll see you there.